Good morning, children. In the previous class, already we have discussed about the importance of light and photosynthesis. And we have conducted an experiment to prove that sunlight is necessary to form starch in the green plants during photosynthesis. So in this class, now we are going to study the chlorophyll and photosynthesis. Already from the equation of photosynthesis, we came to know that the requirements for photosynthesis are mainly some internal factors are there and some external factors are there. For example, water and chlorophyll are present inside the plant cell, whereas the sunlight from the sun and the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere are the factors that are required for photosynthesis. Okay, children? So now we are going to discuss about the chlorophyll, which is an internal factor and required for photosynthesis. Already in the previous class, already we came to know that Indian has experimentally proved that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis, and he has conducted an experiment in hydrilla plants and shown that only in the presence of sunlight in the aquatic plants like hydrilla, oxygen gas is released. In the similar manner, Indian Halls, he proposed that only the green plant parts could carry out the process of photosynthesis. Only green parts of the plants can carry out the process of photosynthesis. After several years, nearly 40 years after what Indian has proposed, in the year 1817, Palladier and Cavendish, they have extracted those green colored pigments which are present in the plant cell, and he named these green colored pigments as chlorophyll. What is that, children? Chlorophyll. Chloro means green, phyll means leaves. That means chlorophyll means green leaves. Okay, children? So, what Indian has proposed were proved by Palladier and Cavendish in the year 1817. What they have proved? That there are some pigments which are present in the plant cell. They have named them as chlorophyll. These chlorophyll pigments are essential for photosynthesis. Already in the previous classes, children, you might have heard about there is a pigment in the blood. In the RBC cells, there is a protein called as hemoglobin. And children, already you know, hemoglobin pigment is having a centrally located atom, that is iron atom. One iron can carry, or one hemoglobin pigment can carry 4 oxygen molecules. And hemoglobin is a pigment that helps in transport of respiratory gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Children, already you know that. Yes or no? Here, the chlorophyll pigment is also similar to that of the structure of hemoglobin, but instead of iron in the center, they will have magnesium. Okay, children? So, chlorophyll is also an organic molecule. What is that? It is an organic molecule. Now, a point comes, organic molecule, and it is a pigment. What is that? It is a pigment. There is a pigment, green colored pigment in the leaves. They are called as chlorophyll. So chlorophylls are the green colored pigments present in the plant cell. Okay, children? Now question arises, what do you mean by a pigment? As I have already told you, pigment is a molecule which absorbs the light of a specific wavelength. Okay, children, already I told you that the visible rays are having 7 different colors, and each color will have a specific wavelength. Okay, children? Already I told you that in green colored light there is no photosynthetic activity, and the rate of photosynthesis will be maximum in blue colored light and red colored light. That means at 400 nanometer and 700 nanometer, between that, okay, photosynthesis will take place. Exactly Japalante at 680 and 700 frequency of the wavelength, maximum photosynthesis will occur. Okay, children. So chlorophyll is a pigment, and this pigment was named by Pelletier and Cavendish. Okay, children. In those times, they thought that this pigment may be present or spread throughout the plant cell. Okay, children. But later on, in the 1883, Julius von Schatz, he observed that chlorophyll in plant cell is not spread throughout the plant cell, throughout the entire cell. Rather, it is present in specific cell organelles inside the plant cell. And they named that, or he named, Julius von Schatz, he named such organelles where the chlorophyll pigments are present in the plant cell as chloroplasts. What is children? Chloroplast. Chloroplast is the cell organelle in which the chlorophyll pigments are present. So what is the color of the chlorophyll? Tell me now, children. Yes, it is green in color. Very good. But do you know, if you will extract the chlorophyll pigments and you will put it in a petri dish, what will be its color? It is red in color. So unless and until the chlorophyll is present inside the chloroplasts, photosynthesis cannot take place. Extracted chlorophyll pigments, they cannot carry out photosynthesis. So children, what you have learned that chlorophyll pigments are present in the chloroplast. So chloroplasts contain chlorophyll and several other colored pigments too, such as xanthophylls, which are yellow in color, and carotenoids, which are orange in color, as you can see in carrot. In carrot, there is an orange color pigment called as carotenoid. Okay, children, you might have seen the different colored vegetables. For example, green chilies can turn into red chilies, and white tomato turn into green color, and later it turns into a red color. So actually, the chloroplast is one of the plastids. There are three types of plastids are present: chloroplast, chromoplast, and leucoplast, because of the presence of different type of pigments. Okay, children. So inside the chloroplast, there are different colored pigments are there, and different colored pigments can observe the light of different wavelength. Different wavelength of light they observe. As I have already told you, different colors will have different wavelength and they have different energy. And there is a relationship between the wavelength of light and its energy. Increase in the wavelength, decrease in energy. Decrease in the wavelength, increase in the energy. Okay, children? So, in the chloroplast are the cell organelles in which the chlorophyll pigments and other accessory pigments, additional pigments, yellow color and orange color pigments are there. Xanthophylls and carotenoids are present, which also helps in trapping the solar energy and supplying this energy to the centrally located chlorophyll pigments. There are two types of chlorophyll pigments are there: chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Okay, children? Chlorophyll A are blue-green in color, whereas chlorophyll B is yellow-green in color. In two different type of photosystems, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, this chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B will be centrally present, and accessory pigments will be present around the centrally located chlorophyll pigments. Okay, children? So, for several years, it was very difficult to extract the intact chloroplast from the plant cell. Whenever the plant cells were broken, the chloroplasts were also broken. But it was in 1954, Daniel I. Arnold was able to break up the plant cell so gently that the whole chloroplast could be obtained that could able to carry out the process of photosynthesis. So for the photosynthesis to occur, intact chloroplast is necessary. Okay, children? Intact chloroplast. Chloroplast should not be broken up. Intact chloroplast can only perform photosynthesis. Okay, children? Now we will see the structure of the chloroplast. First of all, observe the structure of the chloroplast. I will explain, and then we will see some additional information from another video. Okay, children? Now watch this video. Chloroplasts have double membranes. Here is the outer membrane and here is the inner membrane. And within the inner membrane is the fluid called stroma. In chloroplasts, actually have a third type of membrane that are found in the stroma. These are layers of membrane in the stroma where the photosynthetic process occurs. One singular membrane disc is called thylakoid, and this surrounds the lumen. Multiple thylakoids stacked on top of each other form grana, or singular it is called granum. So the thylakoid membranes are the site of light reactions, whereas the stroma is the site for dark reaction. So, in summary, chloroplast has a double membrane, but it also has a third membrane called thylakoid membranes, which form grana, and the light reactions occurs in the thylakoid, whereas the dark reaction occurs in the stroma.
Structure. At the end of this module, you will be able to describe the ultrastructure of chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are membrane-bound organelles that act as the main centers for photosynthesis. The number of chloroplasts varies widely in different plants. For example, in green algae like Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra, the number of chloroplasts present in each cell remains constant. In higher plants, the number of chloroplasts varies from cell to cell. Each cell may have 30 to 200 chloroplasts. Although the size of chloroplasts varies from plant to plant, chloroplasts are generally 4 to 5 micrometers in size. Also, plants growing in shade contain larger chloroplasts in their cells than those growing in intense light. Chloroplasts also differ in shape, being plate-shaped in chlorella, cup-shaped in Chlamydomonas, ribbon-shaped and spirally coiled in Spirogyra, and star-shaped in Zygnema. In higher plants, most chloroplasts are nearly spherical or ovoidal in shape. Like most organelles in a eukaryotic cell, chloroplasts are surrounded by a bilayered membrane called chloroplast envelope and are disc-shaped. While the outer membrane is freely permeable to molecules, the inner membrane is selectively permeable and contains many transporters, such as the integral membrane proteins, which regulate the passage of small molecules like sugars in and out of the chloroplast. The inner membrane encloses a protein-rich ground substance called stroma. The fluid in the stroma contains a host of enzymes, plastid DNA, RNAs, and ribosomes. Within the stroma is another membrane system called the thylakoids. The three-membrane system divides chloroplasts into three distinct internal compartments. 1. The intermembrane space between the inner and outer membranes of the chloroplast envelope. 2. The stroma, which lies inside the envelope but outside the thylakoid membrane. And 3. The thylakoid lumen. The thylakoid membrane is a network of membrane-bound flattened discs called thylakoids, which are arranged in stacks called grana. The membranes of thylakoids are called fret membranes, and the grana are interconnected by tubular membranes called the intergranal lamellae. Each chloroplast may contain 10 to 30 granal clusters with a single granum comprising about 20 to 60 thylakoids. The thylakoid membranes are made up of 20 to 30% lipids and 70 to 80% proteins. They also contain a large number of granular structures embedded in the membranes. These granules are called quantasomes. Quantasomes are responsible for capturing photons of solar electromagnetic radiation and act as photosynthetic units. The larger granules are called photosystem 2 or PS2, and the smaller granules are known as photosystem 1 or PS1. The intergranal lamellae lack photosystem 2 but contain only photosystem 1. The thylakoids contain photosynthetic pigments, namely the green pigments chlorophyll A and B, and the yellow to red pigments called carotenoids. Due to the three-membrane structure, the internal organization of the chloroplasts is more complex than in other organelles.
Yes, बढ़ गए हैं.
So children, we have seen the structure of the chloroplast. Okay, we have already learnt, and chloroplast has mainly three membranes, one outer membrane, one inner membrane, and there is a stalks of membranes, thylakoid membranes, they are called as grana. And the light reactions of photosynthesis takes place in the grana, whereas the dark reactions of the photosynthesis takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Okay, children? Now we will let us see the structure of the or transverse section of a leaf and how it helps in photosynthetic activities. Here, children, you can see this picture. This is the transverse section of a leaf. At the top, you can see there is a layer that is called cuticle, and below the cuticle there is an outer epidermis, and at the bottom you can see there is a cuticle again and is having lower epidermis. They are the dermal cells. Already you know, children, the dermal cells, they helps in giving protection to the innermost layer of the plant cells. So in the leaf also there is a cuticle, and there is below the cuticle there is upper epidermis and there is a lower epidermis. In between these dermal cells there are ground tissues. Already you children already know what are ground tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So here parenchyma cells are present. Which cells? Parenchyma cells. And because these parenchyma cells they have chloroplast, they are called as a chlorenchyma. Already you know, children. In 9th class already you have studied chlorenchyma. And here at the top you can see, just below the upper epidermis, the chlorenchyma cells, they are arranged very compactly. They are called as palisade parenchyma. They are called as palisade parenchyma. And just below the palisade parenchyma, you can see the mesophyll. They are also called as mesophyll cells, and they are loosely arranged. They are called as spongy parenchyma. They are called as spongy parenchyma. Both palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma, they are the mesophyll cells. Okay, children? And they contain chloroplast. They contain chloroplasts. And at the bottom you can see, in the lower epidermis there are stomata. What are present? Stomata. Already you know the structure of the stomata, there are two gourd cells and there is an opening called as the stoma. The gourd cells also have 40 to 100 number of chloroplasts. Okay, children, even the mesophyll cells as well as the gourd cells, they have chloroplast and they can perform photosynthesis. Okay, children, and through the stomata, the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere can enter into the mesophyll cells where the photosynthesis will take place. See, the arrangement of the leaf is so arranged that the chloroplasts are present in the mesophyll cells. They are the actual sites for photosynthesis. In the chloroplast only, photosynthesis will take place. For photosynthesis, what are the requirements? Water is required, sunlight is required, chlorophyll is required, and carbon dioxide is required. So you can see there is a centrally vascular bundle which have xylem and phloem cells. The xylem, they absorb the water from the roots and that water reaches up to the vascular bundles, xylem cells which are present in the leaf. So water through the roots, through the xylem, it reaches up to the leaf. So water is available. In the mesophyll cells and in the gourd cells, there are chloroplasts which have chlorophyll and other accessory pigments, and in each cell or in each group there are 250 to 400 number of pigments will be present. One centrally located chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B pigment will be present. Around the chlorophyll pigment there are accessory pigments, additional pigments such as xanthophylls, carotenoids, etc. They form a light harvesting complex. Usually they are called as photosystems. There are two types of photosystems are there. Depending upon the chlorophyll A or chlorophyll B, which one is present? Depending upon that, photosystems are called as photosystem 1 or photosystem 2. And around the chlorophyll pigment, there are accessory pigments, xanthophylls and carotenoid pigments are there. All together, they form the light harvesting complex. They harvest the sunlight. They trap the solar energy present in the sunlight and they convert them into chemical energy. Okay, children, they are also called as reaction centers. So chlorophyll and other accessory pigments, they are present as a single unit called as photosystems, or they are called as reaction centers, or they are called as light harvesting complexes. And they trap the solar energy. Okay, children? And through the stomata, the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere enters into the leaf. So leaf, the structure of the leaf is arranged in such a manner that all the requirements of photosynthesis can easily reach up to the leaf, which is the food factory of the plants. Okay, children? Thank you. Please go through the video carefully and make a proper note on it. Thank you, children.